Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of week 6. In this lesson, we are going to look at how to create tables in HTML and how to style tables using CSS. My name is Mildred. A table is an arrangement of information in rows and columns. And sometimes it is more than just rows and columns. We can get some complex arrangement of data on a web page. Basically, it is an organized grouping of fields. To define a table in HTML, you use the table tag and you close table. This doesn't do anything on the web page. You have to use other tags that create the other parts of the table. First of all, we will have to create the layout of the table and the different sections of a table. We have the head section, which we create using the T-head tag. Now, it is not in every case that you use the T-head tag, and we're going to look at that when we start looking at vertical tables. You start T-head, you close T-head. There is another part, which is the T-body, and we close T-body. And then we have the last part, which is going to be very useful when you have very long tables and you scroll to the end of the page and you still want to keep the heading of the page, or whatever you want to put at the foot section or the bottom of the table will come in the T-foot. And then we close T-foot. It is between the start and the end T-head tag that we start to define the headings of the columns of the table. Between the start and end T-body tag that we begin to define the content of each row of the table. And then the foot holds any footer information we want to put at the bottom of the table. Sometimes we want to repeat the heading at the foot, or sometimes we want to put a different kind of information. To start creating your rows and columns, we have a tag called the TR tag, written like this, and then you close TR. Every table data or every cell data must be within a TR tag. This defines a row. You can have several rows within the head and several rows within the body. Several rows within the head might not have any effect except you're having a complex kind of table. But we're going to look at that when we look at the complexities of creating tables. Once the row is defined, you want to start putting information for the columns. We want to create the heading for each column of a table. We use the TH tag for headings. Let's say I want to collect personal information of patient. I'm going to copy this and I'll paste it, let's say 5 times. I have this as first name. I have this as last name. I have this as date of birth. I have this as sex. And here has gender identity. When I save this and I refresh my web page, we'll find all the headings that we have listed. But a table does not automatically look presentable. We have to style it with CSS to get all of our borders around the table and around the cells in the table. Before we do that, let us see how to create rows in the body of the table. So once you are done with the heading, we leave the T-head section and go to the T-body. We want to get the first row of the information. So these are about static tables that have information. When we get to course 2, you will see how you pull data from the database and the data will be populated in a table. So these basics are things you need to know before you get into course 2, where you'll be working on the back end to populate information on the front end. Between the start and end TL tag, we have one row. Let's say we want to create 3 rows of information. We'll start with the first row. Every cell data is written within a TD tag. So close TD. Between the TD tags, the start and the end TD tag, you can put any content you want, data, text, images, audio, video, whatever it is you want to place within the TD tag. Is allowed here, or link to another page. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it 5 times since we have 5 headings. The first patient I have is Jane. The last name for Jane is Doe. The date of birth for Jane Doe is January. So let's say January 1st, 1979. And Jane Doe is a female and her gender identity is unknown. We have created one row of information. We want to have a second row of information, so we'll put that within TR tag. So I'll copy this and paste it. So you have another start TR, which means start a new row and put information in it. So the next person we want is, let's say we have Brown as the first name and the last name is Green, and the date of birth for Brown Green, let's say is August, and let's say 1980, and Brown Green is intersex and identifies as a male. We want a third row, and this person is, let's say, James Stone. The date of birth for James Stone is, we'll say, December 2nd, and James Stone was born in 1960. James Stone is a male, and James Stone identifies as a male. We'll save this and we're going to refresh our web page and we have the information. But this doesn't look presentable, and this is where CSS comes in. Now this is as simple as a table design can get. Let's go to the head area and create a style for this table to make it presentable. You want to create a style for the table element. We want to ensure responsiveness. And the first thing we want to do is to put the width of the table to be 100%. Then we want to put a style for the TH and the TD tags. We want them to have a border. And we want the border to be, let's say, 2px. Let's put a double border. And we want the color to be blue. When I save this and I refresh my page, we have the border around. But by default, the borders are separated for each of the cell. There is a property in CSS called the border collapse property that you must put for the table element style. So put border collapse, and we're going to change it from separate to collapse. Save, refresh, and it's going to collapse to have one border around them. There are other properties we can put for this, like a padding. We want it to have a padding of 5px on all sides, right? We might want to have another style like the text align, and we want all the text to be aligned to the center within the cells. Save, refresh, we see our table styles. We can actually add another style, like a style for just the TH element, and we want it to have a background color of, let's say, a lighter shade of blue, RGBA, and I want it to be blue, so it will be 00255, and the opacity will be, want a lighter shade, 0.3. And then I will save, refresh, and we'll have our table designed and presentable. So there's several styles you can apply to your table as much as you want. Let's look at what we can put for the T foot. Sometimes you might just want to repeat the T head for the T foot to have the headings also at the foot, so that the users don't have to scroll to the top to see what was the heading of the column. You can also decide to put something else rather than this as the foot, but we are going to look at all of this as we go advanced. So this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to look at how to make this table more responsive, and we're going to look at how to create vertical tables, and we're going to look at more complexities using the call span HTML tag. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.